In every generation, people reach a point where exhaustion becomes normal. Not the kind that sleep can fix, but the deeper kind. The kind that comes from carrying too much, chasing too many expectations, and losing sight of what truly matters. Miyamoto Musashi understood this long before the modern world existed. He believed that fatigue is not a failure of strength, but a distortion of purpose. When the mind becomes crowded, the spirit becomes heavy. And when the spirit becomes heavy, even simple steps feel impossible. This story follows someone living through that same imbalance today, a young medical student named Kai, who begins to discover what Musashi knew all along, that the path back to energy is the path back to alignment. Chapter 1. When his energy began to fade. Kai didn't always feel exhausted. In his early days of medical school, he studied late because he was curious. He worked hard because he wanted to grow, not because he feared falling behind. His energy didn't disappear suddenly. It faded slowly. It faded when he began comparing himself to every student around him, when he studied for grades instead of understanding, when he tried to impress professors, family members, and people who barely knew him, when he reached for perfection instead of clarity. Musashi understood this pattern early in life. After winning his first duel, he didn't seek praise or recognition. He walked home alone, knowing that if he fought for approval, his strength would depend on others. Kai has been fighting for approval for years. Every moment of doubt, every comparison, every attempt to be the perfect student takes energy from him. He believes he is tired because medicine is demanding, but the truth is simpler. He stepped away from his own path. And when alignment is lost, energy slips away. Chapter 2. The weight he doesn't notice. Kai carries more than he realizes. Upcoming exams, clinical pressure, fear of making mistakes, unspoken expectations from family, silent comparisons with classmates, a constant feeling of needing to be more. He thinks this pressure is normal, but it is weight, and the weight grows every day. Musashi lived with the opposite philosophy. He traveled light. He kept only what mattered. He believed every unnecessary thought, object, or attachment clouded the mind. He wrote, "Do nothing that is of no use." Kai's world is filled with the modern equivalents of clutter: notifications, endless study materials, perfectionism disguised as responsibility, tasks he accepts out of fear, not purpose. He is tired, not because he lacks ability. He is tired because he holds too much. Real energy returns through subtraction. One unnecessary obligation removed, one comparison ignored, one distraction silenced, one task chosen with intention. As life becomes lighter, clarity grows. And with clarity, energy returns. Chapter 3. Rhythm over motivation. Kai often waits for motivation before he studies. Some days it comes, most days it doesn't. He assumes this means he is weak, but it simply means he is human. Motivation is inconsistent. Rhythm is reliable. Musashi lived by rhythm. He trained through heat, cold, and rain. He repeated movements thousands of times until they became instinct. He didn't train because he felt inspired. He trained because it was his identity. Kai decides to try a new approach. One small action every day. A short review. A single concept. Simple, consistent, manageable. No debate. No waiting for the right mood. Just rhythm. Weeks pass, and something shifts. Studying drains him less. Starting becomes easier. The resistance fades. Rhythm takes over. Discipline becomes freedom, not pressure. And with that freedom, energy rises. Chapter 4. Letting go of results. Kai lives in a system built on measurement, exam scores, clinical evaluations, rankings, silent competition. His peace depends on his performance, and performance constantly fluctuates. A good score brings relief that fades within minutes. A bad score creates anxiety that lasts days. Musashi knew this trap well. When he faced Sasaki Kojiro, he arrived calmly, carrying only a wooden sword carved from an oar. One strike, one moment, then he walked away. No celebration, no attachment. Victory was not his focus. Clarity was. Kai realizes he has tied his sense of worth to numbers, not to growth, to praise, not to purpose. So he changes his internal question. Not will I score high, but does this help me become a better doctor? When effort becomes devotion, results lose their power to drain him. Non-attachment doesn't mean apathy, it means acting from strength instead of fear. And with that shift, his energy returns. Chapter 5. Stillness in motion. Kai's world is noisy, hospital floors, crowded hallways, ringing phones, mental overdrive, pressure from every direction. Even in rest, his mind continues racing. Musashi found stillness without stopping. He painted, he carved, he meditated, he trained with full presence. He believed that calm in one action brings calm to all actions. Kai decides to try this. During a break, he steps outside the hospital. He puts his phone away. He lets the noise fall into the background. At first, he feels restless. Then his thoughts begin to settle. His breathing slows. His mind clears. He discovers a small stillness inside movement. Not silence, but focus. Not escape, but presence. Energy doesn't always come from stopping. Sometimes it comes from moving with awareness. Chapter 6. Returning to alignment. In his final years, Musashi wrote The Book of Five Rings in the Cave of Reigando. He condensed a lifetime of discipline into one truth. Strength comes from inner unity. Kai begins shaping his own unity. Late one night, he writes a short list, not of tasks, but of values. Why he chose medicine, who he wants to become, what truly matters to him. The list is simple, clear, honest, a few meaningful goals, a few people who lift him up, a few habits that build strength. Everything else becomes noise, and noise can be removed. He realizes he was never exhausted because he lacked ability. He was exhausted because his life moved in too many directions at once. When intention, action, and purpose align, something powerful returns. Focus, calm, energy. Clarity becomes his anchor. Alignment becomes his strength. Conclusion. The path of the unburdened mind. Kai's transformation is steady, not dramatic. He learns to lighten his mental load, to build rhythm instead of waiting for motivation, to release attachment to results, to find stillness in motion, to realign his life with his values. These are the same principles that shaped Musashi's path of mastery. Kai applies them to a modern world. He discovers that he was never tired because he worked too hard. He was tired because he lived divided. Now he walks with clarity, intention, and an unburdened mind. When spirit, mind, and action move together, exhaustion fades. What remains is inner strength, balanced energy, a way of living that cannot be shaken. His way, his clarity, his unbroken center,